All right, guys, welcome to the Flying Cravat podcast. Evolution wrapped up about half an hour ago, and we're going to get into the results, and we're also going to have a couple segments. Real quick, some news that broke over the weekend. Obviously, I want to send Roman my best wishes for a speedy recovery, and it's definitely a scary thing, and never want to see anyone go through that. And today I'm joined by Adam Robbins. He's the host of a new channel that's going to be hitting soon called Chaos Bringer Productions. And thanks for joining me, Adam.
Hey, no problem.
And we're going to talk about what that show is going to encompass. Obviously, I'll be on there when we do anything related to wrestling. So, Adam, tell us a little about what the channel is going to be and what subjects you're going to cover.
The channel is really exactly what it sounds like. It's just an excuse for me and all my friends to just do stuff that we've been wanting to do for years, and now we have a chance to do. So the first show, the one that I'm hosting or co-hosting, is called The Adam and Chris Show. I'm going to be on there with my good friend Chris Sherrod. And we're just going to tackle any subject that comes to mind. Each show is going to be a different subject. We've already shot 4 of them. The first one was about where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is probably going to go after Thanos thing's done. The second episode was something called the glitter treatment that I came up with, basically talking about how movies like Twilight, Warm Bodies, and all that basically took something scary and tried to polish it up and present it as family friendly and sexy even. So, and Chris has a lot to say about that. The third episode we did was actually Chris's idea. It was called Censorship by Proxy. And I can't even really begin to get into that here, but it's definitely something that I hope will make people go, oh yeah, that's a good point. Also make them laugh because, Chris with him flipping out and me egging him on. And then finally the one we just did was about loot boxes and that trend you're seeing in video games. But we're hoping to get more shows for the channel. Like I said, I wanted to put together a wrestling show with you and my friend Mike Hussein. I think that'd be great because Mike's a big wrestling fan too. He's great at impressions and stuff. I think you guys would play well off each other. There's a video game show that we're still trying to figure out the details for, and just plenty of other ideas that down the road we're going to get to.
All right, be sure you check that out. Once that goes live, I'll provide links to it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into the results. Our first match was Trish Stratus and Lita versus Alicia Fox and Mickie James with Alexa Bliss at ringside. Some of the things I wrote down, there were a couple spots that were really clunky. The wheelbarrow into the bulldog spot, it didn't look crisp at all. The ref pulled one of his counts. That being said, I thought it was a solid opener. I gave it half a thumb up. I thought it was clunky, but I thought it was the right match to go on first and really get the crowd into. What did you think on that one, Adam?
I've always been a Lita mark. I've actually met her twice, and she's always been very nice. So whenever Lita comes back to WWE, I'm like, ooh, I gotta watch this. But I admit there was a lot of clunkiness there. And not all of it were the veterans who haven't been in the ring. I feel bad about Alicia Fox. We were talking about her earlier, and you're right. She's a lot like some of the other wrestlers. You forget about her until you see her because they've done pretty much nothing with her. She's good enough in the ring. I wouldn't say oh my gosh, she's amazing, but she's certainly not the worst. She's no Kelly Kelly.
Yeah, she's serviceable. It also, I think one thing that hurts her is she has been around for so long. Like if you remember back to when we had the WWE version of ECW, mm-hmm. She was with Gabriel.
Yeah.
So, that's 12, 13 years, and she's never really been a top woman. She's kind of always been in the background. And so yeah, like we were talking, I kind of forget she's there. I like her new gimmick of the crazy outfits and the crazy headwear. I think it's something to set her apart. But yeah, she's overlooked, and it's kind of a travesty that it happens because she is a very serviceable wrestler. She doesn't mess up a lot. She can do a good match, but yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I gave the match one thumb just again because I love seeing Lita in the ring. Trish was pretty good too, and Lita's moonsault.
Yeah, she didn't almost kill herself this
Right.
time.
I mean, I was like, hey, she nailed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to give that one thumb.
Okay. Match 2 was the Battle Royal. The things that I wrote down, I thought the Iconics promo went on at least a minute too long, and the crowd just was not into it. If they would have cut it off after they made fun of the accents, it would have been great. But they just kept going. A couple things that I wrote down in terms of botches and notes. Maria Kanellis' Bronco Buster was not good. It looks like she misjudged it. The head scissors botch with Carmella and Ember Moon. Both of those two women are way too good to make a mistake like that. There were some decent spots towards the end. I really liked Tamina's and Nia Jax's interactions. And the one gripe I have with it is Asuka being left out of the final two and not coming back in. They've completely ruined Asuka, and it's awful. But I gave it one thumb up. Battle Royals are very hard to mess up. So what'd you think about that one, Adam?
I actually had some predictions for this. I thought we'd see some more veterans come out. I was like sitting there going, when I saw Nia Jax and Tamina, I'm like, holy shit! If Karma hits the ring, everyone's gonna lose it.
Yeah,
we didn't see that, but I had predicted that either Asuka or Ember Moon was gonna win, and actually neither one did.
Right.
Now that Nia's won, I have to wonder what they're going to do with her, because there's been so many start and stop pushes with her.
Yep.
And she's been booked so inconsistently as a face, a heel, a face, a heel. It doesn't make any sense. So, and then, I'm like, the winner of this, what are they going to do with that win? Are they going to challenge for a belt, which belt, and everything like that? So it was kind of a confusing win, I'll say. And yeah, I felt really bad that Asuka got eliminated when she did, because I would have loved to see her and Ember Moon be the last two.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also wanted Asuka to do a heel turn. I think at this point, it's the only thing that could really help her recovering from just that downward spiral from WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I gave this match one thumb.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And actually, I'll get into, that's what my what if scenario is if they wouldn't have ended Asuka's streak, how they could have made this event even better. So match 3 was the Mae Young Classic final, Toni Storm versus Io Shirai. Couple things that I wrote down. There was a really nice looking German suplex. It looked vicious. Obviously, no one was hurt too bad. I thought the finish was really good. I thought this was match of the night, and I gave it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this match too. I love Toni Storm's facial expressions.
Very good.
I mean, she really gets into everything, so it doesn't just seem like, okay, fall down, get up, fall down, get up. She emotes, and I love that. I love that in a match. And you're right, some very good wrestling here. I gave it a 1.5 thumbs. Okay. There were a couple spots I thought could have been better. I also thought the crowd just didn't get into it like they should have. But I mean, 2 top-notch wrestlers to say the least.
That's one thing about a match following up a battle royal is, battle royal, the crowd's usually up because you're going to see a lot of eliminations and a lot of action, so it's kind of hard to follow and keep the crowd into it. But I agree. I thought it was a very good match. Match 4 was the Riot Squad versus Bayley, Sasha, and Natty Neidhart. A couple things I wrote down. I actually wrote more notes about this one than I think any other. The cutoff was very interesting when she went to baseball slide drop kick, and she got drop kicked into the this being Bailey, drop kicked into the post. That was pretty good. Sasha's dive was scary. Um, and this is one we commented on and kind of threw our hands up. The spot where Bailey covered Banks and took the senton.
Yeah.
That was completely illogical. Like you said, she had 20 seconds to pull her out of the way so she didn't get hit or knock Ruby Riott off the top rope. The ending was very botchy. It could have been a lot better, but I gave it one thumb up. I think with all the people involved, obviously Sasha and Bailey are very good, leading this women's evolution, and Natalya has been good for so long, and the Riott Squad. I've been a fan of Heidi Lovelace, Ruby Riott for a long time. So some really good talent in there. So I think that brought it up, but I think this could have been a much better match, but those things drove it down for me. What did you think about that one?
I really did enjoy this match. I love the Riott Squad. I love Liv Morgan. I love the psychology of her character, especially in the opening minutes of that, how she's just taunting Natalya and everything. Right. I mean, I could have watched that the whole match. I mean, it was just so great to see her get into that character. Again, I really enjoyed a lot of the spots in this match. Again, the Bailey spot, the Human Shield spot. I think Bailey took quite a beating during this whole match.
Yeah, she did.
And, as much as I love Natalya, I thought she was just ineffectual in this match until we got the double sharpshooter.
I actually passed right over that, yeah. We were talking when that happened that there's no way she could do it, and she did, and it didn't look odd. It
didn't look cheesy at all.
Yeah,
so I mean, yeah, that was all good. I give this a thumb and a half.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like with Sasha. I want them to pull the trigger and make Sasha heel. I mean, Sasha's good, but you don't really get a chance to see her shine like she should. And I think a heel Sasha would really be able to do that. I mean, again, she calls herself the boss. To me, that just sounds like a heel promo.
Right.
I'm not talking like some cheesy Bella Twins heel turn. I'm talking just let her be as evil as she wants.
Yeah.
She can pull it off.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to what you said about Liv Morgan, I think that she could be, out of her and Sarah Logan, I think that she could definitely be the bigger star. I like Sarah Logan a lot, but I think Liv Morgan, I think she could be someone special.
Well, yeah, she could be. Now, if only she would date someone special.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, if you don't know, she's dating Enzo, and I think she was wearing one of his outfits in the ring. Definitely had his name on her shirt.
Right. Match 5, we had Kairi Sane against Shayna Baszler. The first thing I wrote down is I'm extremely jealous of Baszler's arms because she has some guns, and she looks like she could rip your head off, and for a woman wrestler, that's one thing that's going to draw attention as a girl that looks like her. All her facial expressions, she looks mean. She looks like she could legitimately hurt you in a fight, which is great. I love the back and forth action. I think that this feud, especially now with Kairi Sane chasing, is going to be very good. Kairi Sane's dive to the outside was incredible. The finish was really good, getting the two other members of the four horsewomen of the
Be very careful
MMA.
how you pronounce that.
Yes. Yes. And getting them involved. Again, the finish was great. I gave it 1.5 thumbs up.
Yeah, this is another one I really enjoyed. We've come a long way since the John Laurinaitis days of booking so-called divas. And yeah, you're right. Shayna looks like she could just hurt you.
Yes.
And not just in a fight, just like with anything. She could be at like a kid's birthday party and everyone's getting hurt on accident.
Right.
And just to watch the back and forth between the two. And their styles did mesh pretty well because like Kairi was very showy, I guess, would be a
Mm-hmm.
good in a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm picking her apart. But Basler's was very Smash Mouth, and just the way that they came together, still it worked very, very well. So I did give this 2 thumbs.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know if Kyrie's going to be chasing now. I mean, taking the belt off her, they might have.
It might be
so
bringing
they can
her
move
up.
her to the
Yeah.
to the main roster, but it was quite a match, and what a way to go out, right?
Yeah, definitely. Match 6, we had Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. Obviously, halfway through, we both said the same thing, that this should have been the main event without a doubt. I thought the one negative thing that I would have, I think the stipulation actually hurt the match early on, because it kind of got slow, and I understand the psychology you want to build, but I thought there were moments where they were just standing around, or when one of them went down, they got to 3 or 4 kind of quick. I think, just like in the early stages of a match, if you do a pinfall, it should be a 1 count, maybe 1.5, because not that much damage has been inflicted. That's really the only negative thing I have to say about the 2 competitors. They did more with the chairs than I thought. They did a lot more than I thought. I thought
ladders, and chairs.
Yeah.
Oh
I thought it would just be the one big spot on the chairs, but they did 4 or 5 different moves on them, and the tables and the chairs were all used really well.
You did get kind of annoyed when the crowd started chanting ECW.
I did. I hate that. I do. I've worked on independent shows where something happens and people chant ECW, and first of all, ECW is not the first company that went extreme. They've been doing that for years and years, and like, ECW's dead. Just let it rest in peace. Go back and watch it if you want to reminisce, but not every chair shot is a nod to ECW. So yeah, that gets me. I thought it was funny when Charlotte had Becky Lynch in the figure 8 through the ladder.
Yeah.
You can see there was a point where she was supposed to get a chair and it was too far away, so she says something to Mike Chioda, and he kind of, within 5 or 6 seconds, he actually moved it closer to her so she could get it. Also, his counting was inconsistent the entire time. There were times where they were down for 20 seconds before he started counting, or he didn't count at all, and he missed 3.
He missed the number 3 in one of the counts.
Counting's hard.
Especially the first 3 numbers.
Yeah. But yeah, that definitely should have been the main event. I gave it 2 thumbs up. I think that Toni Storm and Iho was just a little bit better, just because it was pretty much flawless. And like I said, the early going of the match kind of suffered because of the stipulation, but I thought this was a really good match, and it could main event WrestleMania. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
So definitely 2 thumbs up. I thought it was really, really good.
I gave this 2 thumbs up. To me, this was match of the night. Yeah, the match with who was it? You just mentioned. Oh yeah, Toni Storm and Io Shirai. That was really good. That was flawless wrestling. But the one thing I felt that it lacked was the emotion behind it. And this feud with Becky and Charlotte is just built on that. And to see that come through, as well as the wrestling, made it just the match of the night for me. And I pointed something out, and you agreed with me on this because I thought I might have got it wrong. They brawled into the crowd and through the crowd, and I'm like, it's been a while since I've at least seen it.
Absolutely.
And with everyone else, Mike Chioda, I just don't know.
Not counting.
Just not counting. The finish, that power bomb through the table on the outside. The fact that Charlotte took that bump, my hat's off to her. But again, she is a Flair. And Flairs have never backed down from taking bumps like that. So, yeah, definitely match of the night. I'm glad to see Becky win. I want to know who Becky's going to challenge or have challenge her next. It's weird because Becky is kind of a tweener right now. She's the only one that really makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, because has that kind of stone cold vibe to her. So she could take on a heel or a face, and it'd work either way. They're not going to do this, but, I'd love to see Asuka go after it. Ember Moon, I don't know who they'll do. They'll probably have Carmella.
Could be.
Or,
I mean, the dance break's getting over.
Or maybe they'll bring out Santino Morello to challenge her for the belt.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. Going back to what you said, that was a good point. I know a few years ago, the NXT takeover before WrestleMania with Nakamura and Sami Zayn. A lot of people thought that was match of the year, but some people disagreed just because there was no background to it. There was no build up. So that's definitely a valid point. That being said, I completely agree. That was an excellent match. Should have been main event. Can't say that enough. But yeah, both women took some incredible bumps onto chairs, onto ladders, through tables, and it looked like they really wanted to tear each other apart, and that's great. And the thing with her being a tweener and it working is they did something that they usually don't do, and that's the fact that
effort.
Also, that's they actually gave her a reason to be upset, to be vindictive.
Right.
It wasn't just we're going to turn her heel because she's mean-spirited. Charlotte took her spot.
Right.
Charlotte, it was her time, and Charlotte took her spotlight. So instead of just making her heel just because she doesn't like someone, actually, even though she's being bad, you agree with her.
And the crowd agreed with her.
The crowd loves her.
The crowd was cheering her and booing Charlotte, which, there's only one other wrestler that happens to.
Well, yeah.
But, I think this was the main event, really. And, I know I told you this earlier. It's just that the SmackDown belts always seem like the workhorse belts.
Yeah.
Just look at WrestleMania. Shinsuke and AJ put on a hell of a match.
Right.
To me, that was the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match, not so much. And as we saw here tonight, the Raw match wasn't anywhere near as good.
No. And I get the reason why is because Ronda's still cutting her teeth and still really learning how to work, so they're putting her with people that can protect her and make her look good. But if that's the case, maybe she shouldn't have the belt right now. Maybe that should be something that she works towards too.
Right.
But it definitely, this match showed that the women's division on SmackDown is much deeper. So now we get to the quote-unquote main event. So we had Nikki Bella with Brie versus Ronda Rousey. The things that I wrote, I actually only wrote one thing down, and Nikki shouldn't have gotten a fourth of the offense she did. There's, relying on WWE to use logic, but she's been tearing through everybody. She beat Nia Jax, she beat Alexa Bliss, and then she has this much of a problem with Nikki, who doesn't look like she weighs more than 110 pounds. So that was a little unbelievable. I gave it one thumb up, just because I thought there were no botches. I love Ronda Rousey's judo throws. I think in a wrestling ring they look so good. That one that she did off the top rope was amazing. And her armbar still looks vicious. It looks like she's going to break her opponent's arm every time. So I think that was good. What'd you think?
The fact that you think Nikki Bella weighs 110 pounds is also unbelievable. I'd go
true.
way less, because there's a spot where Ronda lifts both Bella twins up.
Right.
And throws them in. We were joking that, oh, look, Ronda's lifting 100 pounds right there. But, you say that they book Ronda with people that, are safe and can make her look good. And that might be all the Bellas are worth. I hate the Bellas so much. To me, they're like a cancer on the wrestling world. And they've done, to me, nothing to further the women's division. And they actually brought that up like, oh, we were the Divas champ, as if that
Right.
belt actually meant anything.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's quite the accomplishment right there. You know, so to see Nikki and Ronda go at it, this match should have been like Goldberg and Brock Lesnar's Survivor Series match.
Right. It should have been
a minute
quick.
and a half at
Right.
most, because the fact that Brie was there too. Nikki put up like 5-7 minutes worth
Yeah.
of offense.
Yeah.
And Ronda's selling it. And, you know, like we were joking throughout the thing, like the look on Ronda's face is like, I haven't had to act this painfully since Expendables 3.
Right.
You know? Which, you know, I don't hate that movie, but, you know, I'm making a point. It's just watching, and even my fiance, who doesn't really watch wrestling, is sitting there watching us going, seriously?
Yeah.
As if, I mean, the only thing I think Nikki did that looked like it would work or whatever is the Alabama Slam.
Right.
Which was, you know, yeah, that was pretty cool. But, you know, this match should have been over 2 minutes at the most. I mean, Ronda made a career out of beating people under 2 minutes in the UFC.
Right.
So the fact that, you know, Nikki Bella, of all people,
Yeah.
is going to sit there and make Ronda suffer. And then you get, you know, Brie was trying to do the yes chant outside. And, you know, I hate everything about the Bella twins. I hate their tone-deaf voices when they start, like, trying to do promos. And that Stepford wife tone they have to it. You know,
Right.
it kills me. They do the same promos every time. And I'm like, Ronda deserves better. And, like,
She does.
maybe she doesn't need the belt right now. Maybe she should, you know, spend a whole year chasing the belt and get better doing it. But, you know, this, to me, did nothing to help Ronda's career. It did nothing to make Ronda look good. I mean, if you get 5 minutes worth of Nikki Bella beating you up, that's not going to help anyone's career at all.
Well, imagine if you were an MMA fan and you've watched Ronda Rousey for 3 years be unstoppable, and then you hear she's going to WWE. You've never seen it. You don't know anything about it. You turn on this and you see her getting beat up by a girl who looks like she weighs 110 pounds and has no muscle. You turn it off and be like, well, that's
holy
ridiculous.
hell! That spot where Nikki had her in that whole
the chin lock,
right, and like Ronda's sitting there like mugging for the camera to make it look like she's fighting for her life, and I'm like, what planet are we on?
Right. It just doesn't make sense. And again, anytime that I talk about logic in WWE or wrestling, it doesn't need to be stated. I know you're supposed to suspend your disbelief, but you still have to use real life physics and real life, you know, characters. The character you build, that's truth. That's what means the most.
Truth was in the crowd tonight.
He was. And goodness gracious, how is he still with the company?
Well, how are the Bellas still with there? I mean,
Yeah.
they should just be on Total Divas and that's it. They are the human equivalent of Chihuahuas at this point.
Yeah, they're not helping. They're hurting at this
They're not,
point.
and like the fact that they threw them in this title picture with Ronda, I'm like, why? And then Ronda wins. We get to see Nia Jax watching the monitor
At an awkward angle, like it always is, looking over her
always,
shoulder.
right? You know, and you know, because Nia won the Battle Royal, so it's like, are you building up for a match between these two? I mean, you said that Ronda beat her twice cleanly, so what is there to do?
Right. Yeah. Because that was a big story, is whether Nia could, or whether Ronda could get the armbar, and then she did, and I think she beat her twice. So if that was the end game, you should have never had those matches.
Right.
Keep them separate. So with that, I'm gonna give it a final grade of 3 out of 5. I don't think it was a terrible pay-per-view. I love the idea of an all-women's pay-per-view. I think they should do more. I think this should be a yearly thing, if not a pay-per-view, because pay-per-view, no one's buying them. Everyone just has the network or knows someone that does. Make it an event, make it a yearly thing, because I think that all the performers, whether you like them or don't, they prove that they could carry a pay-per-view. And I also think that they should have when SmackDown moves to Fridays, like it's rumored to, when it goes on Fox, if you've already got a built-in audience on Tuesdays, you should have an all-women show on Tuesdays. They should still be on Raw and SmackDown. It shouldn't be, like 205 Live where it's out of sight. It should be on television, and it should just be 2 hours of Raw and SmackDown women on there because they can do it.
Well, no, you're absolutely right about that. And, really, when you think about the build-up that this pay-per-view has had, which was pretty much none.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
An all-women show would help because, half the people that I talked to, thought Crown Jewel was tonight, not this.
Right.
And the other half that knew it was on didn't know who all was involved.
Yeah.
So, and then to really be like this, to go back to the Ronda Rousey thing, the feud with the Bella Twins was 2 weeks long.
Right.
And no, really 2 days long if you think about it, because it was just one Monday and then the other Monday and then that's it. So yeah, an additional show would have definitely helped that. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the Becky Lynch and Charlotte match. Yeah. We had some great wrestling all through the night. Things I think hurt this, we talked about some of the botches, the Bella Twins. I also think the announcing really hurt this.
Yeah.
Because, we got to have, excuse me, Renee Young.
I think she's doing a great job.
She is. And we had Beth Phoenix, and they were both good. But we had Michael Cole, because of course we did.
Right.
And he did some of the worst commentating I've heard him do in a while.
It's sad because we were talking about the UK tournament and how well he did. And tonight I thought, with there not being any pressure, I thought that he would have done okay, and he just dropped the ball.
He did. It's almost like he had Vince in his ear, but let's be honest, Vince wasn't watching.
Yeah,
tonight.
I doubt he was watching.
He's got bigger fish to fry, so to speak. Another thing I think hurt this was its name.
Yeah.
Evolution.
Right.
Because when this was announced, I thought, Evolution, the stable.
Right.
Why would you name a pay-per-view out of a stable? I mean, if anything, you could call this Revolution.
Or something.
Anything's better than Evolution.
Something.
Because
the first thing you think of when someone says WWE Evolution, you're thinking, oh, Randy Orton, Dave Bautista, Ric Flair, and Triple H. Every time.
I'm thinking Evolution is a mystery.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I do want to see more of this. The
I
women
agree.
really proved that they can hang just as well as the guys. Better than some of the guys in some cases.
Definitely.
And luckily we didn't get to see James Ellsworth pop up.
Yeah, that would have been bad. So I think the pay-per-view was a success. I think you're starting to see some of the women wrestlers that are coming in from Japan and from the UK and from Australia. There are some supremely talented women. I think Asuka is one of the best in the world of either gender. I think Asuka is phenomenal. And
she unfortunately didn't get to showcase that tonight. She did have a couple spots that were fun to watch. Like some of the kicks she was throwing against Alundra.
They look like they're going to take your head off.
Well, especially against Alundra.
Yeah.
Or Medusa, as I was calling her
right.
all night. But, I mean, to really have Asuka in this and not do anything spectacular with her, I feel is a lost opportunity.
It's a shame. It's a shame. All right, so we're going to go into our next session here. And Adam, go ahead and put on your hard hat because it's time for How to Fix. So for our first How to Fix segment, we are going to tackle the biggest problem in the WWE, and that is the WWE. So what I asked Adam to do is to write down 3 things that he would do to fix the product as is. If Vince hired him, gave him the book, said, I want you to fix it, what are 3 things that you're going to implement? I also came up with 3 things, so I'll let you go first, and then I'll tell you what I would do to fix it.
You'll tell me why I'm wrong?
No, not at all.
Okay, first thing I do is just fire the writing team. Just all of them. Completely all of them, because they have hurt this company so much with their inconsistent booking, their face turns, heel turns. I know you and I were joking last week about Big Show's heel turns and everything. Did anyone ever count those? So yeah, I would just get a whole new writing team. Not like Vince's problem is a lot of these writers are like wannabe screenwriters.
Mm-hmm.
They're not anyone that understands wrestling. They're not anyone that understands psychology or anything like that. So I would hire wrestling writers. I would hire people that have been around the business. Maybe bring in some old school guys.
Mm-hmm.
That couldn't hurt at this point.
Yeah.
Another thing I would do is the promos. And this goes to the writing, but these promos that they want these people to say and everything are just horrible. And you get
cookie cutter.
Well, you have wrestlers tripping over their own lines because these people aren't experienced actors. I believe Mick Foley and Stone Cold both said, and I have to agree with this, let them do their own promos.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can kind of script that and get creative in on it, but just tell them here's the talking points we want you to hit, and have them come up with something that's organic to them. We were talking about Ronda's promo against the Bella Twins, which is really good.
Yeah.
There is one thing, though, that did throw it off, I think, for a lot of people. When Ronda says she's going to eviscerate them in the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking of, like, back to 2009, 2010 with Kane, when he would do those monologues at the beginning of every show.
Right.
That's how Kane speaks. That's not how Ronda speaks. So it just, as good as that promo is, it takes you out. And you're like, oh, now I'm left with, stupid reality again.
Yeah.
I would do that. I would also, maybe limit some of the pay-per-views and bring back some established ones. Like things like, let's look at the names of some of these bragging rights. Whoever cared, what was the other one that was like very car themed?
Oh, Fastlane.
Yeah. That sucked. Or how about Great Balls of Fire?
Oh my gosh.
Bring back King of the Ring.
That's a great song. Let's name a pay-per-view after it.
I kind of think he named it after that in honor of Ric Flair. I think Flair said that's where he got the woo from.
Oh, really?
And I think, wasn't that when Flair was like really sick? When they did that?
I don't know. That was 2 years ago, maybe last year.
Something like that. But I thought that was around the time where Flair needed a kidney or something. But, I would do that. Bring back King of the Ring. Heaven knows that this company could use King of the Ring.
Yeah.
And really, like we were talking earlier, if you're not going to do this with the guys, Queen of the Ring with the women.
I think it'd be great. I mean, they kind of already have it with Mae Young, but you could do somewhere you do the Mae Young Classic over the August through October, and then let's say you do King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring in December. Whoever wins the Mae Young Classic gets a bye into the second round of Queen of the Ring. That way, those matches mean even more. Going back to what you said about the promos, I mean, again, I've been in indie locker rooms, and that's how it goes. Hey, go out there, talk for 3 minutes, bring up this, and this, but you fill in the rest. And the problem that you have is when you have a pre-scripted segment, and you go out there and you're saying the lines, but either the fans aren't reacting, or let's say you're trying to get them to boo you, and you say something, and they cheer you. You got to be able to think on your feet and flip it on them, but they can't. They have to keep going with the promo, and that's why a lot of promos are failing.
Oh, suffering succotash.
Yeah. Hey, The Rock said it. If you say it, people will love it.
Well, The Rock was allowed to show his charisma.
Yeah.
Not the same promo's not going to work for everyone.
Right.
And I don't know.
They all say the same things. It's cut and paste.
It really is, and I think that just shows the writing staff being lazy.
Yeah.
Because now we don't have to. And I understand. You get guys out there, or even some women, that can't speak. Okay, let's bring back more managers.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, we had a ton of them.
Yeah, and that's actually some that I've noticed, going back and watching classic pay-per-views, especially in WCW. I mean, everyone had a manager, and a manager can add a lot to a character and add a lot to a match.
Heaven knows it's worked for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'll tell you what I came up with. The first thing I would do is I would do a mass firing. You've got so many young, talented superstars in NXT, and some that have already been called up. And the problem is they get called up, They get a little bit of shine, and then the established guys stay there. So I'm talking about, guys like, what's the guy's name who's jobbing all the time now? He used to be a major brother. Curtis Hawkins, you're gone. The B team, you're gone. What's
That's why you should bring back shows like Sunday Night
yeah.
Heat.
What's McGillicuddy's name?
Curtis Axel.
Yeah. What I would do with him is I would humiliate him on his way out. And then I'd have him go to Japan, go to Ring of Honor, get over, and come back, 5-6 years, and talk about how he wanted to honor his father, Kurt, and he was given stupid names and made to look like an idiot. Guys like Randy Orton who were just boring. Don't bring Brock back. Let him go. I would just do a mass firing so that when you've got some young superstars like the Undisputed Era, there's no reason that Johnny Gargano and Ciampa aren't on the main roster. There's no reason that Aiden Black or Aleister Black isn't on the main roster.
Give him time.
Velveteen Dream. Yeah, but the problem is they're going to come up and they're going to be jobbing to Cena and The Miz. And I get rid of Dolph. He's been here for 15 years without a break. Let him go, reinvent himself, bring him back. So I would do just a mass firing of people that have been there for a while and haven't gotten over. Let them go, reestablish themselves, and come back. The second thing I would do is I would purge the titles. I would have a heavyweight title. I would have the Intercontinental title, a tag team title, the Cruiserweight title, the women's title, and the women's tag team title. And what I would do is I would have it to where the champion can go on both shows. That way Raw could have a number one contender to the world title, and SmackDown could have theirs. Then at the pay-per-view, those two fight to see who gets to fight the champion. And that way, you would have fresh matchups. Because the biggest problem that we're seeing right now is, I swear if I watch Raw or SmackDown one more time and I hear a rematch from last week, I'm going to lose it because that's all we see.
Cut and paste.
Exactly. So I think that would... I think that having less titles would make each title mean more, because what they're doing is they're wanting to add titles. It was rumored that they were going to add a women's tag title, which is fine, but you've got to get rid of some, because if you have 15 titles, they're not going to mean anything, but if you have 6, they're going to mean a lot.
Right, but I mean, I do enjoy having 2 heavyweight titles, one for each show, because it gives some guys opportunities that wouldn't get them anyway else.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that if there are that many titles, then the matches are meaningless. A lot of matches.
And I really think the women do need another belt, because tonight we had a pay-per-view with only 2 belts on the line, neither of which changed hands.
Right.
I mean, in hindsight, that's good considering the matchups, but, it just didn't really, it's like there weren't any high-risk things at stake.
Yeah. And my other one here is to go back to the big 5 of pay-per-views. What I would do is I would keep the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and in December, I would have King of the Ring. And what I would do, and this is again to make everything mean more, the winner of King of the Ring in December would, in addition to being the King of the Ring, excuse me, they would also get a shot at whatever champion they wanted, and they would also, in the Royal Rumble, be guaranteed no lower than 15. So you're making it mean more. I would make everything else, I would make it just network specials. And if there are less pay-per-views, they mean more. It's one of the problems with there being 12, 13, 14 pay-per-views. The only ones that really matter are the big 4.
Right. I think another thing that I wanted to add to that, how to fix this, is really, we got to do something about the 50-50 booking.
Right.
The 50-50 booking is just killing people's momentum.
It is.
And, I mean, I know Stephanie McMahon's a big fan of it, and that's another problem. You have someone that should understand how the business works and can't see how detrimental this is. We don't have any real new up-and-coming stars. I mean, yeah, you have AJ. I mean, with good reason. You have
He's the best in the world.
Roman's being, Roman was always pushed pretty strong because that was who the company wanted, but we didn't really have many people other than those two standing out. I mean, yeah, I'm a huge Ambrose fan. I've loved his John Moxley work, but we don't get to see too much of that. We don't get to see anyone just rise above and beyond. I mean, look at the Attitude Era. They stumbled upon making stars by accident.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely do it with the 50-50 booking.
Imagine you're going into WrestleMania and you see The Rock and Stone Cold fight each other 4 times leading up to it. The magic is going to be gone. One of the things they need to do is they need to keep people away. What they used to do is, like, if The Rock's feuding with Stone Cold cuts a promo on The Rock, but then he has to fight the Godfather. Now it's every week. Okay, AJ and Samoa Joe are in a feud. So on week 1, we'll have them wrestle. On week 2, we'll have them wrestle. And by the time it actually gets to the pay-per-view,
we're not going to have them wrestle.
Well, yeah,
that'd be a real swerve, bro.
Yeah. Well, and it's if you're a new fan and you watch, you don't know who to root for.
Right.
Because the guy I like won. The guy I like lost. The guy I like won again.
And everyone's a tweener now.
Yeah. So
I mean, it works for Becky, but I mean,
but that's because she has a gripe. She's justified in acting that way.
Right. And I mean, let's be honest. They tripped into that one.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the original plan.
No.
But I mean, not everyone needs to be shades of gray, like you said. You need to have established faces and established heels. Let the faces shine, fighting through adversity, and let the heels be as just evil as they want to be.
I mean, it's only been working since the 1900s, so
right.
I don't know how much you have to justify that good guy versus bad guy works. I mean, it's been going on since the beginning of time.
Maybe it's because that's Jim Cornette booking, and some of these people just don't understand Jim Cornette booking.
I'm definitely a conservative when it comes to wrestling. If it works, do it. So that's going to wrap up our How to Fix WWE. If you agree with us, disagree with us, comment, let us know how you would fix WWE. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a what-if scenario. And this is involving Asuka. And this is going to start all the way back in WrestleMania. And it's going to lead up to tonight. And I want you to tell me how much better of a main event would this be than what we got. So the first thing I would do is Asuka beats Charlotte. She becomes a SmackDown champion.
Naturally.
Naturally.
That was the way it should have went.
Terrible. So on SmackDown, she starts with the women on the underneath to the mid card, right up to the top. She's just running through people. Every time she goes up in a feud, competition gets a little stiffer, but she's unbeatable. Now on Raw, you have Ronda Rousey. She beats Triple H and Stephanie at Royal Rumble or at WrestleMania, and now she does the same thing on Raw. They don't mention it, but it's kind of they're on the same trajectory.
They're parallel.
Yes, they're running through people, and what I would have is about what month is this? October? About
this would be October.
About July. By this time, Ronda Rousey has 2 of the women that she's fought against have had shoulder injuries. One's had a broken arm. So now there's discourse in the locker room. They storm let's say Ronda won a number one contenders match.
Right.
And they're going to do a contract signing. And let's say that, Alexa Bliss is still the champion. So she refuses to come out. So you go back to the office, and in Stephanie's office, you've got all the girls that she's hurt, the girls that she could wrestle, and they refuse to wrestle her. And Alexa says, if I wanted to fight MMA style, I would have gone that route. I got into professional wrestling. I'm here to fight, but I don't want to lose my livelihood. I'm not wrestling Ronda Rousey. I'm not getting my arm broken. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So then, the next week Ronda comes out. She says, Alexa won't fight me. She's scared, kind of starting to get cocky. There's no woman on this planet I fear. Blah, blah, blah. And, whatever they write for her to say.
Eviscerate.
So no one will fight her. Well, finally they sit down, they air out their grievances, and Alexa agrees to fight her as long as the armbar is outlawed. So at SummerSlam, it's Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss with the armbar outlawed. And Ronda taps her out with something else, a sleeper, rear naked choke, whatever you would want. So now she's the champion. She comes out the next night on Raw. Alexa, I beat you, but I'm willing to give you a rematch. Alexa comes out. She says, no, I'm not fighting you in the style that you want. I'm not a submission wrestler. I'm not doing it. So Ronda issues an open challenge, and this goes unanswered. And she's, well, I guess I don't have anyone to fight. They announce Evolution. And the next week after they announce it, she comes out and she says, Evolution's coming out. I want to be a fighting champion. I will fight anyone in the world. And out comes the undefeated SmackDown champion, Asuka. She gets right in her face. She says, I'll fight you at Evolution, and you can use the armbar, because I'm not scared of it.
Are you ready for Asuka?
Are you ready for Asuka? And so now, the main event of Evolution is the undefeated Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey, versus the undefeated SmackDown Champion, Asuka. And they just have a back and forth. I mean, the first one obviously doesn't have to have a conclusive finish, but think of what you could build off of that.
Oh, yeah.
All the way to WrestleMania. And you wouldn't get tired because, A, they're on different shows, so you could have them come together at pay-per-view, and then maybe Asuka invades Raw. But the build-up that you could do and the pay-per-view matches you could get out of that rivalry and make both women into megastars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was thinking really along the same lines. The way that I kind of had it booked is, Asuka beats Charlotte and just runs roughshod over all the women on SmackDown, but Asuka starts to do the promo, no one is ready for Asuka.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, because, let's face it, they want Ronda to be a face.
The face,
They could have easily booked Ronda as a heel. It would have been believable, too.
Yeah.
But
because she's invading a sport that she didn't pay her dues in.
Right.
And she's getting the rub, and hey, come be a semi-main event on WrestleMania, and here's the women's title that you really didn't earn.
Right.
But you're Ronda Rousey.
Well, I mean, Ronda could even just do, I came here and all you guys have are Barbie dolls to be.
Yeah.
These aren't women. I could just see Ronda cutting a vicious promo. But, they want her to be a face. Okay, we'll book Asuka as a heel. Asuka's, the Empress. She's running basically an empire on SmackDown. No one can beat her.
Right.
So obviously this is fantasy booking because, let's see what they've done.
They didn't do that.
Right.
They.
So, you have her just cut this promo, maybe like a month ago or something, talking about how no one's ready for Asuka, and then Ronda speaks up. Now, I wouldn't have Ronda be champ. I just would have Ronda chase a belt but not have it.
Yeah.
So,
or she could even say, I don't need a belt to validate that I'm the baddest woman on the planet. You look at my UFC tape, you look at what I've done, I don't need an accessory.
Just don't look at a couple matches at the UFC tapes.
Yeah, but, she got kicked in the face, but it happens. It happens.
It happens in life. But anyway, yeah, I would have like Ronda without a belt challenge Asuka for the belt. Ronda's a face, Asuka's a heel, and both are undefeated. And I would actually book it for Ronda to end Asuka's streak. It's believable.
Yeah.
It would be an emotional finish.
Yeah.
And it would give Asuka a chance to start over.
Right.
Which really at this point Asuka needs to start over.
Asuka needs to go away. They need to like write her off with an injury, and she needs to come back as a bitter woman bent on destruction with a manager who can talk for her.
Yeah, I think that's also hurting her as the language barrier.
Same with Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's funny how his heel persona, he doesn't understand English sometimes, and sometimes he does. That's pretty funny.
But yeah, I mean, Asuka could come back bitter. She could come back have her go heel. The first person she takes out, Naomi. Because that's been her friend.
Right.
I mean, that tag team makes no sense.
None.
But, have her turn on Naomi, which I thought was going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
And I mean, not in like a, battle royal kind of way, but just like in a vicious, okay, this is no longer about throwing over the top rope kind of way. And Asuka could just go strong on that. They've dropped the ball with her. It's a shame. It's just a depressing burial of such a talented performer.
She's so good. She's so good at everything.
And I mean, again, Sarah, my fiance, when we were watching the Royal Rumble, she had never seen Asuka before. But when you had Asuka in the ring with the Bella Twins, again, I hate the Bella Twins, and she's just kicking the hell out of them. Even Sarah's like, all right, kill them.
Right. Yeah, and again, obviously, you're never going to have logic in professional wrestling, but you could at least try. You could at least try to do it smart. And I think one of the biggest problems plaguing WWE right now is they're not planning that far ahead. Or, so-and-so got injured. Let's turn this person heel with absolutely no build-up and no reasoning.
Right.
That's why the Becky Lynch turn has been so good, is there was motive, and it's been building up for a while.
Yeah, you can
It's
see
not
it.
just, you know what, let's make Becky heel because we're short.
It's kind of like when AJ turned heel, out of nowhere, made no sense. It didn't hurt him, but I mean, again, there was nothing to be like, hey, I could see where this is coming from, or you could see it building. It was just, we have nothing planned, so let's do it.
Well, if you look at it like this, they say that the best supervillains are the ones that actually might be making a point.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many people after Infinity War said, maybe Thanos was right. Maybe he was doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
or look at The Dark Knight. For 2/3 of that movie, the Joker makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And Batman's the one that seems crazy.
Right. And that's what Becky is saying. You may be booing her because she's heel, but she's kind of right. And she kind of has, she's kind of...
Vindicated?
Yeah.
And
Viscerated.
Viscera. And viscerated, yeah. She's Big Daddy V.
Yeah.
That's what she is. But no, I mean, people that boo her would also sit there and be like, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing. And boo her.
Seriously.
Because you can relate to
it.
And you're right, that's the best kind of heel. I mean, that's why, to me, Triple H was a great heel, but I could never relate to him.
Well, his motives weren't always clear. It's just, I'm the game, I screw people over, that's what I do. Or
Reign of Terror.
Or Ric Flair. How many tag teams, how many people have turned on Sting? Maybe it's like, hey, Sting, maybe you're just a bad judge of character.
Sting, maybe, you should stick to the shadows and not talk for a year. I think that might help you.
But yeah, so I think we covered some really, really great things. So Like I said, if you have any ideas on how to improve the product, go ahead and leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and be on the lookout for Chaos Bringer Productions and the Adam and Chris Show. It's going to be some really good stuff. So thank you for joining us. And Adam, thank you again for doing this with me.
Oh, no problem. And, anyone wants to hit me up on Twitter, it's St. Adam 777 at Twitter.
All right. Thanks.